You know that feeling? That little spark when someone genuinely thanks you? Maybe for something really small you did? Feels good, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But what about the other side? That moment you feel really appreciative. You actually, tell them, does that feel different?
That's an interesting question.
What if I told you that simple act, expressing appreciation, maybe even just writing it down?
Yeah.
It isn't just like a nice social thing, that it can measurably change your brain, strengthen relationships, maybe even shift how you see the world.
It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But the research behind it is actually pretty compelling.
Yeah, we've been digging into a whole pile of source material for this deep dive. Everything from neuroscience studies, psychological experiments, right down to practical guides on, well, how to actually do it.
Exactly. And we're not just talking about vague, feel-good advice here. We're really trying to sift through all this information, find the solid nuggets. What does the science really tell us about why expressing gratitude is so powerful?
Right, what are the surprising effects? Not just on the person getting the thanks, but on you, the one doing the thanking.
That's a key piece, the benefit to the expressor.
So our mission for this deep dive is really to unpack that science, understand why it works, what the tangible impact is on us, on our relationships, and importantly, how we can realistically use that power ourselves. What does the research suggest is really important when we say thank you? Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's start with something that might sound a bit, well, counterintuitive.
Okay.
When you're feeling down, maybe stuck in guilt or shame, or that endless loop of worry, it feels awful, obviously. Heavy. Unpleasant.
Yeah, we've all been there.
But weirdly, those negative states can sometimes feel, I don't know, sticky, like we get caught in them. Why would that happen? Why would our brains kind of hold on to something that feels so bad?
That's a good question. It doesn't make logical sense.
Well, what's fascinating from a purely biological standpoint is that these unpleasant emotions can sometimes give your brain this strange, almost perverse short-term hit.
A hit from feeling bad.
Believe it or not, yeah, guilt and shame, they actually activate regions in the brain linked with reward. Places like parts of the prefrontal cortex, the amygdala that's big in processing, fear, the insula, and especially the nucleus accumbens.
The nucleus accumbens. Isn't that a key part of the brain's reward system, like for pleasure and stuff?
Exactly. Now, positive things like pride activate these areas too, but guilt and shame seem to have this weird pull on the nucleus accumbens specifically. It might help explain that, self-sabotaging urge we sometimes have to pile on negative feelings. It's inadvertently triggering reward circuits, even though the overall feeling is terrible.
Wow. So like a tiny, unhelpful yay signal in the brain for beating yourself up. That sounds like a really rough loop to get stuck in.
It's a bizarre biological glitch, absolutely. It can trap us.
And what about worry? That constant running through worst-case scenarios, does that do anything for us biologically, even for a moment?
In the very short term, yeah, it can feel like it's doing something useful. Worrying tends to increase activity in the medial prefrontal cortex that's involved in planning, decision-making, complex stuff. And at the same time, it can decrease activity in the amygdala, that fear center we just mentioned. So it's almost like your brain is signaling, okay, I'm working on this problem, I'm trying to figure it out, even if it's just spinning its wheels internally.
The illusion of control.
Yeah.
Or productivity.
Precisely. It can offer this momentary sense of action compared to that awful feeling of doing absolutely nothing when you're facing uncertainty.
Okay, so these negative states, they offer these tiny, fleeting biological payoffs, a weird reward signal, a false sense of control. But you stressed earlier, they are horrible long-term solutions. Yeah. Why is that distinction so critical in the research?
Because that's the crux of it. While they might offer a fleeting hit that keeps you hooked short-term, things like chronic guilt, shame, worry, they are absolutely corrosive long-term. To your well-being, your mental health, your ability to function, to connect with people, they trap you in these really debilitating negative cycles.
Right. So the big question then becomes, how do we break free? How do we use our biology, but in a positive, sustainable way?
And this is where gratitude comes in, not just as a nice idea, but as what the science suggests is a really powerful biological hack, a way to interrupt those negative cycles and actually build positive ones.
A biological hack, I like that. So how does it work on that level in the brain?
Well, the neuroscience research points to gratitude being a vastly superior alternative to getting stuck in those negative loops. Think about common antidepressants, right? Some, like Wellbutrin, work by boosting dopamine.
Okay, the motivation chemical.
Right. Gratitude does that too. The feeling of being grateful activates the brainstem region that produces dopamine. Dopamine is crucial for motivation, pleasure, the reward system. And what's even more interesting is that expressing gratitude towards other people specifically increases activity in social dopamine circuits.
Social dopamine circuits.
Yeah, meaning the very act of connecting through gratitude, saying thank you, showing appreciation, makes those social interactions more enjoyable and rewarding for you, the one expressing it. It literally makes connection feel better at a chemical level.
So it's not just a warm, fuzzy feeling then. There's actual brain chemistry happening that encourages bonding and positive interaction. What about serotonin? That's the other big one for mood, isn't it?
Gratitude boosts serotonin, too. Just like medications like Prozac target serotonin, actively trying to think of things you're grateful for forces your focus onto the positive aspects of your life.
Just shifting your attention.
Exactly. That simple shift, that mental scanning for the good, increases serotonin production. Specifically in a part of the brain called the anterior cingulate cortex. It's involved in decision-making, emotion regulation, attention. By deliberately shifting your focus towards gratitude, you're engaging brain areas that help boost your mood and cognitive function.
Okay, but let's be real for a second. Sometimes life is just hard.
Yeah.
You're going through something genuinely difficult, a loss, a failure, some tough situation, and it feels like there is absolutely nothing to be grateful for in that moment. Does the science account for that kind of difficulty? Can you still get these benefits?
It does, and this is where the research gets really interesting, I think. And it offers a way forward even when things are tough. The studies suggest you don't actually have to succeed in finding something huge to feel overwhelmingly grateful for right then and there.
You don't.
No. What seems to matter most, what builds the long-term change, is the search, the conscious effort. The act of remembering to look for things to be grateful for, even when it's difficult, that itself is a powerful mental exercise.
Just trying to look.
Yeah. That deliberate act of directing your attention, of attempting to scan your experience for any positive aspects, no matter how small, that's a form of emotional intelligence in action. You're building a cognitive muscle.
Like lifting weights for your brain's positivity center.
Kind of. And the brain studies back this up. Research using MRI scans shows that regularly practicing gratitude, this act of searching, focusing, acknowledging, can actually increase neuron density in specific parts of the prefrontal cortex, the ventromedial and lateral areas.
Okay, what do those parts do?
They're crucial for complex thought, decision-making, regulating social behavior, emotions. These structural changes suggest that the more you practice this mental exercise, the more efficient those neural pathways become.
So it gets easier over time.
Essentially, yes. With higher emotional intelligence built through this practice, it takes less effort over time to access that feeling of gratitude, to shift your perspective, and to regulate your emotional responses. Your brain literally gets better at it.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So your brain physically changes, gets better at being grateful just because you keep trying. It's not just about feeling good. It's about building resilience, strengthening the actual brain structures for well-being.
Exactly. It's building mental muscle through deliberate practice.
So this really isn't some fluffy self-help idea. It's a practice with tangible physical effects on your brain's chemistry and structure. It offers a real, measurable way out of those sticky negative loops and towards greater emotional intelligence.
Precisely. And this biological benefit, the stuff happening inside your own head, that's just the start. The neuroscience, with its hints about enhanced social circuits, it also points towards how gratitude can create a positive feedback loop, not just internally, but externally in your relationships.
Right, which brings us to the next big piece, the ripple effect of actually expressing that gratitude to other people.
Yeah, because for a long time, the whole conversation around expressing thanks, sending a note, saying it out loud, it focused almost entirely on the person receiving it.
Makes sense. Etiquette books, right? Write thank you notes. It's polite, shows good manners.
Exactly. The idea was always it makes the recipient feel good, appreciated, seen. And that feeling is powerful. William James talked about that fundamental human craving to be appreciated way back in 1890.
Wow.
And expressing gratitude clearly encourages future helpfulness, too. If someone feels thanked, they're probably more likely to do something nice again. All of that is absolutely true. The recipient definitely benefits.
And that's the traditional view, totally understood.
Yeah.
But recent psychology research, it shed light on a really profound, often overlooked benefit, hasn't it? The impact on the person doing the expressing.
Yes, exactly. A key insight comes from a series of studies by Nathaniel Lambert and his colleagues. They hypothesized and then tested pretty rigorously the idea that the simple act of expressing gratitude to someone close to you significantly increases the expressor's own perception of the strength and quality of that relationship.
Their own perception.
Yes, specifically in terms of what researchers call communal strength.
Okay, communal strength. Let's break that down.
Right.
What exactly is a communal relationship in this context? And what does that strength mean for our connections?
So think of a communal relationship as one where people feel a genuine sense of responsibility for each other's well-being, for their needs.
Like family or close friends?
Typically, yes. In these relationships, benefits are given willingly, non-contingently, meaning you help the other person not because you expect something specific back right away, but just because they need it and you care.
Okay, so it's different from, say, an exchange relationship, like maybe colleagues keeping track of favors.
Exactly. Exchange relationships are more transactional. Communal strength is the degree of that felt responsibility for the partner's welfare, the willingness to prioritize their needs.
Got it. So it's that deep sense of, I've got your back, no strings attached. How do they measure that feeling, the communal strength?
It can be conceptualized a few ways, like how much personal sacrifice you'd make for them, how much distress you'd feel if you couldn't help them when they needed it, or simply where they rank in your hierarchy of important relationships. The Lambert studies focused on how expressing gratitude might boost your perception of this specific kind of strength in your close relationships, friends, family, partners.
And they use different study methods to really pin this down. What did they find? How strong is this link between saying thanks and feeling closer?
Yeah, they did a series of studies to build confidence. Study one was cross-sectional, basically a snapshot in time. They asked people how often they expressed gratitude to a specific close friend and how strong they felt that communal relationship was.
Yeah.
They found a strong positive correlation. The more people said they expressed gratitude, the higher they rated the communal strength of that friendship.
Okay, but correlation isn't causation, right? Maybe people in stronger relationships just naturally say thank you more often.
Exactly the point. A snapshot can only show an association. So they followed up with study two, which used a longitudinal design. They measured gratitude expression and perceived communal strength for specific friendships at the beginning of a semester, and then again 6 weeks later.
Looking for changes over time.
Precisely. This let them see if expressing gratitude at the start predicted changes in perceived strength later on, and it did. They found that expressing gratitude at time 1 significantly predicted increases in perceived communal strength 6 weeks later.
Even after accounting for how strong the relationship already felt at the beginning.
Yes, even after statistically controlling for the initial level of communal strength, general relationship satisfaction, and those other variables like relationship length and age. It suggests a directional effect the act of expressing today seems to build that feeling of strength for you down the road.
Okay, that's much stronger evidence. The expression seems to come first. The feeling of strength follows. But to really nail down that it causes the change, you need an experiment, right? Where you actually tell people to do it.
They did exactly that. Study 3 is the crucial one for causality. They took participants and randomly assigned them to different groups for 3 weeks.
Okay, what were the groups?
One was a neutral control Zana. They just thought about their daily activities. Then they had 2 positive control groups. One group just thought grateful thoughts about a specific friend. Another group actively discussed positive memories with that friend.
So controlling for just general positive thinking or having positive interactions, that's clever.
Exactly, to isolate the effect of expression. And then the key experimental group. Participants were specifically instructed to increase their expressions of gratitude towards a specific friend over the 3 months. They could say it verbally, write notes, send messages, whatever worked.
And after 3 weeks, they measured everyone's perception of communal strength in that specific friendship.
Yes, and the results were pretty striking.
What did they find?
The participants who were actually instructed to express gratitude showed significantly higher perceived communal strength at the end of the 3 weeks compared to all 3 control groups.
All 3, even the ones thinking grateful thoughts or having positive interaction.
Yes. Their average score for perceived communal strength was notably higher than the grateful thoughts group, the neutral group, and even significantly higher than the group that just discussed positive memories.
Wow. Okay. So that really strongly suggests it's not just feeling grateful inside or even just having a nice chat. It's this specific act of expressing the gratitude that boosts your own feeling of connection.
That's the takeaway. This experimental evidence provides compelling support for the idea that expressing gratitude causes the expressor to perceive the relationship as having greater communal strength. It's an active behavior that reshapes your internal view of your connections.
But why? Why does saying or writing thank you make me feel the relationship is stronger? What are the proposed reasons?
The researchers suggest a few possibilities that probably work together. One idea comes from classic psychology theories about self-perception or dissonance reduction. People often figure out their own attitudes and feelings by looking at their own behavior.
Like, I did this, so I must feel this way.
Kind of, yeah. So when you perform the action, expressing gratitude, you're sending a signal not just to the other person, but importantly to yourself. You're communicating through your actions that you welcomed what they did, you value it, and you desire this kind of communal relationship with them based on care, not just tit for tat.
So your brain kind of adjusts your internal feeling about the relationship to match your outward action.
Exactly. Your behavior shapes your internal perception. Another mechanism is thinking of it as a responsive action. Someone does something supportive for you. Expressing gratitude is you responding to that support. This act of caring enough to acknowledge their action reinforces your own feelings of being responsive and communal toward them. It solidifies your identity as someone who values that mutual support.
Makes sense. And you mentioned a third possibility.
The third involves the impact on the partner, which then feeds back to you. When you express gratitude, it naturally makes the other person feel good, valued, right. That positive feeling encourages them to repeat or maybe even enhance those supportive acts in the future. So by expressing gratitude, you're essentially cultivating more positive, supportive behavior from your partner.
Creating a positive cycle.
Exactly, which in turn increases the actual communal strength of the relationship over time. And as the relationship objectively gets stronger because of this cycle, you, the expressor, perceive that increased strength, which further reinforces your feeling of closeness.
This is really powerful stuff. I mean, saying thank you isn't just, a nicety. It's a tool for you, the expressor, to actively build and strengthen the relationships that matter, changing your own perception of those bonds through your actions and the positive cycle it creates.
Absolutely. And the researchers really emphasize this is an easily modifiable behavior. It's not some deep personality change needed. It's something concrete you can just do. And the research shows clear benefits for strengthening close relationships. For the recipient, yes, but crucially, for you. That's why relationship therapists often recommend gratitude practices. It's a simple action with pretty profound effects.
Okay, so we've seen how expressing gratitude impacts our brain chemistry, our structure, helps break negative loops, and how it tangibly strengthens our perception of our key relationships. But what about the world we live in now? So much interaction is online. What happens when we just see gratitude happening online, even if it's not directed at us?
That's a really fascinating and newer area of research. Social media platforms like Facebook give us this unique window, right? We can observe interactions between other people, friends commenting on each other's posts, family members interacting, even strangers in groups, stuff that might normally be private.
Yeah, like seeing two friends thank each other publicly in comments, or someone in a group thanking another member for help. It's a public display of a personal exchange.
Exactly. And some researchers, Ciara and colleagues, did a pilot study specifically looking at the effects of passively observing these kinds of grateful interactions happening between others on Facebook. They wanted to know, does just being exposed to gratitude expressed by others, even if you're not involved, affect you?
How did they test that? How do you study passive observation online?
They created 2 Facebook groups that looked identical. They recruited participants and randomly assigned them to one group or the other. In both groups, the researchers posted the same kind of neutral content.
Okay.
But the key difference was the behavior of a few trained accomplices, basically researchers pretending to be regular group members.
Yeah.
In the gratitude group, these accomplices had public interactions, commenting, sharing, and they deliberately included explicit thank yous in their messages. Things like, "Thank you so much for sharing this," or "Thanks, that was really helpful."
In the control group.
Similar interactions, similar content shared by the accomplices, but absolutely no grateful language, just neutral exchanges. Participants in both groups just passively observed all this for 2 weeks.
Okay, so they're just scrolling through their feed, seeing these interactions happen. What did the researchers predict would happen to the observers? Would seeing gratitude make them feel more grateful? Maybe through, emotional contagion?
That was one key hypothesis, that observing gratitude would increase the participants' own felt gratitude, either directly or maybe through some kind of resonance. They also hypothesized it would increase how much gratitude participants express themselves based on social learning theory. Seeing a behavior makes you more likely to do it.
Monkey see, monkey do, basically.
Kind of. And finally, they predicted it would boost overall well-being, specifically life satisfaction and positive affect, while decreasing negative effect.
Okay, so after 2 weeks of people watching these groups, did seeing those online thank yous actually make them feel more grateful or happier?
Yeah.
Did the hypotheses hold up?
Well, this is where the results got a bit unexpected, especially on the emotional front. They found no significant difference between the groups in how much gratitude participants reported feeling themselves at the end.
Really? No difference in feeling grateful?
Nope. And also no significant effect on their positive or negative feelings. Their effect scores didn't change much differently between the groups.
So emotional contagion didn't really seem to kick in just from watching strangers be grateful online. Seeing others happy or thankful didn't automatically make the observers feel that way.
Not in this particular pilot study, it seems. The researchers suggested maybe the connections were too weak. These were strangers in a group, not close friends. Or maybe individual differences play a big role online. Some people tend towards social comparison, where seeing others happy might actually make them feel worse, potentially canceling out any contagion effect.
This is surprising.
Yeah.
But you said the results partially supported their hypotheses. So where did they see significant effects from just watching online gratitude?
Two key areas. First, on expressed gratitude, but very specifically on in-person expression.
In person, not online.
Right. Participants who observed the gratitude online reported expressing gratitude face-to-face more frequently in their own daily lives over those 2 weeks compared to the control group. The average frequency was measurably higher and statistically significant. This really supports that social learning idea. Observing the behavior online seemed to prompt them to perform it themselves, but the effect transferred specifically to their real-life face-to-face interactions. It didn't seem to boost their gratitude expression via phone, messages, or even other social media posts.
That is fascinating. Seeing it online prompted them to do it offline, in the real world.
Exactly. Like the online observation acted as a model or a prime that influenced their real-world behavior. The other area where they saw a significant effect was on one specific piece of well-being: satisfaction with life.
Overall life satisfaction.
Yes. Participants who observed the gratitude on Facebook showed a significant increase in their life satisfaction scores over the 2 weeks. The control group's scores stayed pretty much constant. The data showed the line for the gratitude group going up, while the control group stayed flat. That difference was statistically significant.
But still, no change in their day-to-day positive or negative feelings, just their overall satisfaction with life. That feels like a subtle but important difference.
It is subtle, but potentially very important. The researchers didn't think this was emotional contagion either. They suggested it might be a more cognitive process, something called social appraisal.
Social appraisal.
Yeah, the idea is that observing these positive, grateful interactions might lead people to think differently about the value of such exchanges, the quality of relationships, the positive aspects of life that make these things possible. This kind of cognitive reflection or appraisal, triggered by seeing the gratitude, could then influence their overall cognitive evaluation of their own life satisfaction, even if it didn't change their immediate mood.
That's a really interesting thought. So maybe it didn't make them feel happier moment to moment, but it influenced how satisfied they felt with life overall, maybe by reminding them about the importance of connection and appreciation. And it also prompted them to actually express gratitude more themselves, specifically face to face.
That seems to be the picture emerging from this pilot work. It suggests social media, even with strangers, might be a space where seeing gratitude can spread the behavior via social learning and maybe boost a cognitive aspect of well-being, like life satisfaction, possibly by changing how we value positive social exchanges.
Hints of a virtuous cycle, perhaps. Seeing it encourages doing it, and doing it we know has other benefits.
Exactly. Though they do caution it was a pilot study, a relatively small sample. More research is definitely needed to confirm these findings, especially the well-being link. But that finding about increased in-person expression is pretty compelling.
Okay, so let's recap. Expressing gratitude tangibly changes our brain chemistry, helps break negative thought patterns, boosts things like dopamine and serotonin. It makes us perceive our important relationships as stronger, closer, more communal, and even just seeing it happen online might nudge us to express it more in real life and maybe even feel more satisfied with our lives overall. This is starting to feel like something we should all be doing more consciously.
The evidence certainly points very strongly in that direction, doesn't it? Across different levels, biological, psychological, interpersonal, even observational online gratitude, especially expressed gratitude, looks like a powerful force for positive change.
So if expressing it, even just by writing a quick note or message, has these documented benefits, the next obvious question is, how do we actually do it consistently?
Mm-hmm.
Because it can feel awkward, right? Or hard to start.
Absolutely. Let's be honest, one of the biggest hurdles for many people is just figuring out what to say or write. You might feel grateful, but putting it into words can feel clunky.
Yeah.
Or maybe even performative.
Yeah. I remember reading that bit in the source material about the mother asking her adult kid for help writing thank you messages because she just didn't know how. It's a really common block. Expressing deep feelings can be tough sometimes.
It's super common. But thankfully, the source material, alongside the science, gives us a really simple, practical template. Something that can make writing a thank you note or message feel much easier, less intimidating. It breaks it down into 5 basic parts.
Okay, a template. That sounds useful. Lay it out for us. What's part 1?
Part 1, the greeting. Seems obvious, right? Dear so-and-so. But the template suggests personalizing it to reflect the actual relationship. Add some warmth right away.
So not just Dear Alex, maybe.
Maybe Sweet Alex or Lovely Eliza, or even the example I loved was My Crooked-Teethed Queen. It adds personality, affection, signals the unique bond. Or just a friendly, Hey Magda. Key is making it feel authentic to your relationship.
I like that. Start with genuine connection. Sets the tone. Okay, part 2.
Part 2, the intention. This adds weight. You explicitly state why you're writing this right now. It signals this isn't just a casual line, it's a deliberate expression.
How would that sound?
Phrases like, I wanted to take a moment to tell you how grateful I am for you, or today I'm writing this to share my gratitude. You could even add context like, as I sit here thinking about our talk last week. It sets the stage, makes it feel intentional.
Okay, greeting, clear intention. Then comes the main event, I assume?
Exactly. Part 3, the reason. This is the core. Be specific. Why are you grateful for this person or for this specific thing they did? Get into the nitty-gritty, as the source puts it.
Specificity is key, huh? Not just, thanks for being great.
Definitely not. Was it a recent action, a quality you admire, something they consistently do, a shared experience? The power is in the detail. Instead of, thanks for being fun, maybe, I had so much fun laughing with you during a specific event, and I also learned so much watching you handle specific situation.
Give us another example of that nitty-gritty.
Sure. Instead of just, you're inspiring, maybe you inspire me so much with how dedicatedly you worked on specific project, especially when mentioned a specific challenge they overcame. Or about their character. I really value your wisdom and your trust, especially when you give an example. The more specific, the more the other person sees you truly see and value that specific thing, it lands much harder.
Okay, greeting, intention, specific reason. That's the heart of it. What's part 4? Starting to wrap up.
Part 4 is hope. This is where you conclude with well wishes for them or express hope for your future connection, sending positive energy, reinforcing the relationship's value.
Like what?
Things like, I wish you the greatest happiness, or may you always be as peaceful and joyous as you are, or I hope all your dreams come to life. You could also add something about future connection. Looking forward to seeing you soon, or hope we can catch up again next time.
Nice. Ending with good vibes and looking ahead.
Yeah.
And the final bit.
Part 5, the sign-off. Again, customize it for closeness, just like the greeting. Very close friends or family, maybe eternal love, your best friend, your biggest cheerleader, immense love and gratitude. Less intimate. Stick with something warm, but maybe more standard. Best with gratitude, warmly. Kind regards.
That template really does make it feel less daunting. Greeting, intention, specific reason, hope, sign-off, 5 steps. It breaks down that powerful act into something manageable, achievable, even if you feel a bit awkward at first.
It really does. It turns the abstract idea, express gratitude, into a concrete tool you can use right now. And as all this research shows, actually doing it, even just through writing, seems to have these significant benefits for your brain, your relationships, maybe even your overall life satisfaction.
Okay, so let's pull this all together. Synthesize the key takeaways from this deep dive. We've gone from brain chemistry right up to observing Facebook groups.
That's right. We saw gratitude isn't just a nice feeling, it's biological. It affects brain chemistry, dopamine, serotonin, and even brain structure, boosting neural density in key areas for emotional intelligence. And importantly, the search for gratitude, the effort itself, builds resilience.
And taking that internal feeling and expressing it. It's not just for the other person. The research is clear. Expressing gratitude powerfully benefits you, the expressor. It makes you perceive your relationships as stronger, more communal. Experiments show the act itself can cause that shift in perception.
And even in our digital world, just seeing gratitude expressed online, even by strangers, seems to have an effect. Maybe not on immediate feelings, but it can prompt more in-person gratitude expression, supporting social learning. And potentially, it boosts cognitive well-being, like life satisfaction, maybe through that social appraisal idea.
And crucially, putting this into practice is accessible.
Yeah.
You don't need grand gestures. That simple 5-part template for writing a thank you note gives everyone a way to start harnessing these benefits.
It all seems to feed into that idea of an upward spiral that some researchers talk about with positive emotions. Gratitude improves sleep. Sleep reduces pain. That improves mood. Mood reduces anxiety. That improves focus and decision-making, which further reduces anxiety and increases enjoyment.
Which gives you more to be grateful for and makes you more likely to do other positive things like exercise or connect socially, which boosts well-being even more. It's a cycle.
Exactly. And expressing gratitude fits right into that loop, strengthening social connections, boosting your own well-being, creating this powerful positive feedback in your life.
So here's a final thought to leave everyone with. If just passively observing strangers being grateful online can nudge your behavior and maybe even boost your life satisfaction, imagine the compounding power, that upward spiral, you could ignite by intentionally, specifically expressing gratitude to the people who really matter in your life, the ones whose communal strength you already rely on.
Yeah. Consider this. Who is one person you could express gratitude to today? Maybe using that simple template. And what's just one specific thing, big or small, that you genuinely appreciate about them or something they did?
Think about that specific reason, put it into words, maybe write it down, maybe say it, and just see what happens. See how it feels for you and for them.
Thanks for diving deep with us into the surprising power of expressing appreciation.